heparin, adrenaline, and also aminophylline, amphetamine, adenosine, augmentin, and rifampicin, amoxicillin, penicillin, heparin, and warfarin, and estrogen, progestogen, and canesten, and chloroquine. There's bendraflumethiazide and...
Prescription drugs. The pills that come in a small orange bottle that sustains our health. Pills that lower our cholesterol, thin our blood cells, or even fight bacterial infections. These drugs seem to keep the sickness at bay, and as a result, 70% of Americans are at least on one prescribed drug. The demand for these drugs come from the recommendation of your friendly doctor. And with such a vast supply of drugs, these drugs should be cheap, right?
Paying those stupefyingly high prices for prescription drugs.
Patients in the U.S. spend more on prescription drugs than any other country in the world.
Even if you have health insurance, paying for medication can be very costly. Some patients can't really afford their prescriptions.
Prescription drugs in America are the highest in cost compared to any other country in the world. Americans are the biggest spenders on prescription drugs. Americans paid $325 billion in 2012 on prescription drugs. That is almost twice as much than any other country. Let's take, for example, the cholesterol-lowering drug Lipitor. Lipitor costs $125 in America, but in Canada, Lipitor costs only $33.
This is Lipitor, and that's a widely used drug. And here is the cost of Lipitor, the same amount. In Canada, it costs $33, France, $53, Germany, $48, Netherlands, $63, Spain, $32, the United Kingdom, $40, USA, $125, 4 times as much as it cost in Canada.
So why are these drugs so costly? The FDA controls the drugs that are allowed on the market, making many drugs cost more because of higher regulations. But the main reason drugs cost a lot is because of the patent that pharmaceutical companies put on their drugs. The patent stops other companies from creating a generic similar drug that costs significantly less.
Generic drug is the exact same chemical and the exact same milligram amount, the exact active ingredient. These are the blockbuster drugs that have just become generically available, and the only difference, they're lower cost.
Pharmaceutical companies pay off doctors to prescribe their patients to the brand name drug that they have produced, leaving patients to fend for themselves over the prices.
I called my doctor last month because the prescription I was going to pick up was going to cost me $90. And I just flat told the lady, the pharmacist, I'm not going to pay for that. And so she said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to call my doctor and I'm going to see if she can't give me something different, because that is just too high. And I can't afford it, and a lot of other people can't afford it either.
Recent studies show that the more doctors interact with drug marketers, even though receiving small gifts and modest meals, the more likely doctors are to prescribe the expensive new drugs that are being marketed to them when a more affordable generic would do just as well. Seniors lose out with unnecessarily high drug costs, while doctors and drug manufacturers...
The high cost in drugs in America induces Americans to import drugs from different countries. Though the drugs are cheap, the FDA do not regulate these drugs, making them illegal. The FDA unapproved illegal drugs are a result of the high cost of American prescriptions.
So I think we're getting ripped off. And this isn't the first time I've done this. I was on for my osteoporosis, and that went up to $100 a month, and I refused to take that, so now I'm not taking anything for my osteoporosis anymore.
With such high prices, many people are not able to afford the drugs and altogether go off such medication.
It's going to get really bad if these prices don't go down a little bit. These people that are sick and they need these drugs aren't going to be able to afford to take them. And I just don't know what the solution's going to be, but I'm not going to pay that kind of high price.
With so many people not able to afford their prescriptions, Congress should shift their focus on helping the American people get healthier by regulating drug prices.
Is one of the many healthcare crises that we face in this country is the high cost of prescription drugs. And I think there is a lot that we have to do. Whether the Congress is capable of standing up to the drug companies and all of their money and all of their lobbyists remains to be seen. But this is, quite frankly, let's finally stand up for the average American. Let's substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs.